Hello and welcome to the Sky Sports Golf podcast presented by Callaway. And you may well be listening to this later in the week, but it is St. Patrick's Day as we record. I'm wearing my green, and we had Irish success eventually at the Players' Championship. Rory McIlroy victorious in one of the most anticlimactic playoffs you're ever likely to see against JJ Spaun. He is now a two-time Players' Champion, and my guest today followed him pretty much every step of the way this week. Wayne Riley, good morning to you, Radar. How are you doing?
Good, thank you, Jamie. All very good. Great championship.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And we're going to get straight into it in just a bit. We'll be looking back on what was a long week at TPC Sawgrass, all the fallout from it. It is now 2 wins stateside before the Masters for the first time in Rory's glittering career. What does that mean as he aims to join golf's most exclusive club at Augusta? Scotty Scheffler will, of course, be the bookies' favourite to win a third green jacket. But why have we not seen the very best of the world number one so far this season? It's the end of the road for one of the game's great player-caddy combos. Plus, Colin Morikawa doubling down on criticism, his caddy outdoing him on Sawgrass's Island Green, Rory's unique way of dealing with a heckler, and Keegan Bradley's moment of magic. And in the second half of the pod, we will be speaking to Tommy Fleetwood ahead of his TGL semi-final to get his take on that and the last week at Sawgrass. But before all that, let's get straight to the playoff of the Players' Championship, which, as we record, has only just finished. Rory McIlroy is the Players' Champion for a second time, and here he was a short while ago, speaking to Nick Doherty and Radar.
How does that one feel compared to the first one in 2019?
It feels better. I don't know about if back in 2019 I appreciated how big this golf tournament was. Honestly, I've played over 400 professional events in my career, and I feel like every time we come back to the Players, it just gets better and better. From the golf course to the facilities for the players, the facilities for the fans, it's inarguably one of the biggest golf tournaments in the world, and to win it for a second time, and not a lot of people have won it, multiple times. It means a lot, and then I think it just speaks to where I feel like my game is, and I keep talking about this fact that I feel like I'm a more complete player now than I ever have been, and I think this week definitely showed that.
Ryder?
Have you ever been, Rory, in a better headspace going into the majors of a season than you are right now after those two big wins?
I don't know. I'm trying to sort of rack my brain. I've had good starts to years before, and yeah, look, I'm in good form. I'm playing well. I feel like all aspects of my game are pretty much under control. So I just have to keep working hard and keep my head down, and I'll probably have one more start before the first major of the year, and it's another opportunity to just refine little bits that I feel like need refining, and one more start before Augusta.
Rory, I'm sure a lot of us watch you play and think, I'd just love to know what it feels like to feel like Rory McIlroy playing this game. How were you feeling over that putt on 18 yesterday on the 72nd hole, and how big a deal was that what dropped?
Yeah, I was nervous. I was really nervous, especially having missed opportunities on 15 and 16. And even the putt on 18, it was, the light was fading. I was sort of struggling to read them. And if anything, I thought the putt was going to go slightly left. I hit it straight and firm to just take any sort of break out of it. But if anything, it went slightly right. So I was lucky I hit it firm enough for it to hold its line. But yeah, that was a huge putt. It was a huge two putted from 73 feet. And lucky that JJ's putt, was a couple of revolutions short to give me this opportunity this morning.
Just before we let you go, that's 2 wins in the United States before we get to the first major of the year. You haven't done that before. This far into your career, with everything that you've done, do you still believe deep down that your best golf that you've ever played could be in front of you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think I should be out here if I didn't believe that my best golf was in front of me. I want to try to keep improving and getting better, and it's the reason that after 16 or 17 years out here that I'm still doing it.
Radar, the playoff, in your own words, I think when you're out in the course, turned into a bit of a pillow fight. It was a bit of an anticlimax. But it felt like Rory didn't even have his very best stuff these last 5 days, and yet, lo and behold, he is still the Players' champion.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that'd be fair. I think his driving was good. His iron playing was good. I think the putting was sensational. But surprisingly, Jamie, he's chipping this week, and he's one of the most underestimated chippers, I believe, in the game. I've never seen a bad Irish chipper, to be perfectly honest. They all got to play with such great imagination and
Oh,
such feel,
I
great
can show you one.
finesse.
I can show you one.
Well, okay. But this week he seemed to undercut a few, which means he just got them a little high on the club face and a little bit too much bounce and one bounce and check up, and they'd always come up shy. So that's one part of his game I think that he'll work on going into the Masters. But otherwise, I think the game was, well, look, it was good enough to win, even though on the back nine yesterday he had a 3-shot lead and almost blew it. But by holding that 6-footer last night on the last green, or 5-footer, whatever it was, last evening in real time to get what it seemed like, but it turned out to be into the playoff, turned out to be a big part. Heavens knows what would have happened if he missed that.
Yeah, I know. Well, watching it yesterday, Radar, especially after the weather delay, there was last sort of 5 or 6 holes. And even this morning, he did it a couple of times. It felt like Rory was backing off a lot of shots. Was that just the noise at Sawgrass, or was it a bit of uncertainty in his own head?
Yeah, there's a lot of noise at Sawgrass, and there's a lot of swirl, a wind swirl around the tent areas, and hospitality suites are everywhere. Sometimes you don't really know where the wind's coming from, and it's hard to pick. It's a fluky kind of wind. So yeah, he was backing off, and sometimes I noticed as well he was taking just a few more looks. I don't know if you noticed that. He's starting to take quite a lot of looks at his target. But look, he came up trumps and he won this week. He couldn't be in better form going into the Masters. He said he's going to play one more tournament this year. I'd imagine, I don't know for certain which one that's going to be before the Masters, but
That'll
I
be Houston,
imagine
won't
that'd
it?
be Houston.
Yeah, because it sets up nicely for Augusta. Houston actually doesn't have facts of saying that to us last week.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be that'll be the one he goes to. But he said he's playing one more, so wherever he plays, that tournament will be over the moon when he enters.
Yeah, and look, as you say, Radar, when it comes to Rory, we always look at his January to March performances as, okay, how is he looking ahead of the Masters? This, as I said, is the first time he's won twice in the US before Augusta. Does it seem to, even from his demeanor, his body language, that he's got a bit more of the bit between his teeth this year?
Yeah, no. Well, to be honest, no. That it doesn't look any different to me. I don't think Rory. I think Rory is a very consistent golfer, and he's a very consistent person. Rory McIlroy. I never get Rory on a down day. I never get him on an up day. I think he's just a really cool dude. He's a level-headed guy. And I didn't see anything any different to what I usually see this week from Rory McIlroy. It's the same Rory McIlroy. If he had a bad week, all right for some, isn't it, Jamie? If he had a bad week, he runs fifth or he lifts the trophy, which he did. I think he's just exactly the same this week. He's just ready to play every time he plays.
Well, actually, I do have it to hand here. I just saw this. Rory's last 25 worldwide starts, 5 wins, 3 runner-up finishes, 14 top fives, 22 top 25s, and just the 1 miscut. And obviously, what Scotty Scheffler's been doing, we talk about Scotty so much, but Rory's last year has been pretty incredible as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we do talk about Scotty a lot, and rightly so. It's been absolutely incredible, but we've got to have to watch Scotty. We're going to have to watch Scotty. We've been saying this for years as well. We're going to watch Scotty's putting. I mean,
Yeah.
but Rory's been there, done that. When you're a great player, a lot of aspects of your game are under the microscope, and right now Scotty's is. And before Brad Faxon come along for Rory McIlroy, he was in the same predicament, but he's come through that, and no one's been there longevity wise. Look,
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is great, and Ernie's all these great, Mickelson, but Rory McIlroy's starting to come into that longevity, the longevity elite, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Rory takes so much pride in that. I know. I was going to come on to Scotty Scheffler in a bit, but we may as well talk about him now. Radar, a tie for 20th finish for him. You wouldn't have seen much of him over the weekend, but you would have seen him up close on Thursday and Friday. Look, what he did last year was almost Tiger-esque, so we hold him to higher standards now. But why have we not seen the very best of the world number one so far this season? Is it just the putting, or is it maybe a bit of a come down after what was an incredible historic year last year?
I think a little of both. And don't forget, he cut himself in the kitchen
Yeah.
and he was out for longer than he wanted to be. He had to pull out of a couple of tournaments. But I won't hold that, as any excuse for him, and I'm sure he won't. But maybe he's a little rusty. And yeah, look, you can't keep on doing what he did against such great players as he did last year. I mean, I don't think Rory's ever had a year like that. I think Rory's had a year where he's won 2 majors. But he's never had a tournament like that many wins in a season. That was quite. We're all shaking our heads, like, unbelievable. But he's not playing terribly, Scotty Scheffler, Jamie. He's playing well enough, but just not well enough to win right now. And I don't think he'd be going into the Masters very, very happy. I see him out with his caddy all the time on the range, and his coach always there tinkering and stuff like that. And then he's on the putter green and he's shaking his head. I've stood there a couple of times, and he's just not happy with where he's at. So for many of the players out there, including Rory McIlroy, a sight to behold of right now.
Yeah, well, exactly. I've got a funny feeling Scotty might have sorted it out by the time we get to Augusta, but we'll see. We have to talk
Yeah.
about how gutsy JJ Spaun's performance was. I mean, in particular on Saturday, going toe-to-toe
Yeah.
with Rory McIlroy and playing
Yeah.
better than him on Saturday. Then yesterday, he comes out after that 4-hour delay, makes a sloppy bogey at 11. You think, right, 3 shots behind, his race is run. To dig in, to get up and down at the 16th the way he did, play the 17th and 18th in par. Yeah, it was an anticlimax today, but how impressive from JJ Spaun.
Well, very, very good golf. I was asked yesterday morning if I thought he could win, and Nick Doherty asked me the question, and I said yes, I think he can win. And I was right basically, because he did win. It's just a situation that it was a playoff and only one guy could be left standing. But yeah, he's a really good player, very neat player, not a dynamic player. Doesn't on a big golf course. Like, I'll give you an example for JJ Spaun. I mean, say you go to a big golf course, he'll be way back there, because Rory was the same length as JJ Spaun around this golf course, and it just proves that this golf course doesn't suit one type of player. But once we get to a big golf course like a Quail Hollow, where Rory McIlroy can dominate, he'll be knocking at 35 past JJ Spaun. So Rory McIlroy has 2 games. He has JJ's game to get around a place like this, and he has a dynamic game to get around a beastly course, where JJ only has a game to get around a golf course kind of like this. If you understand all that, you're an absolute genius.
You were up close there with the 2 of them earlier, Radar. When a playoff goes like that, especially when you've had a night to sleep on it as well. Well, JJ Spaun just wanted the ground to open up and swallow him this morning. I mean, have you ever been in a situation like that where it's your race is run before it's almost even started?
No. I only was in one playoff in my life, and it was a simple affair. But the thing is, I mean, that sleeping on it was pretty special. But at the end of the day, I think you'll find JJ went into it. I saw his interview last night, and he was to say that everyone expects Rory McIlroy to win. And if I was playing against Rory McIlroy back in the day, I'd feel exactly the same way. But I'd also feel as like, you know what? I'm not expected to win. That's why I'm going to go out there and win. Wasn't to happen. Rory McIlroy got one in front very easily with a wedge shot to a par 5, 16 downwind. Then he had the honor, put down the accelerator, and said, right, now you have to take on the flag. It was, look, 3 holes in a playoff, Jamie. It just isn't enough. It would have been nice. Look, I wanted that to be more. I don't know about you all on Sky Sports. I thought we would have loved to have seen another 9 holes, but it was only over 3.
Yeah, I'm sure Rory McIlroy was quite happy with just the 3.
Oh, he's quite happy, yeah.
Just another couple of bits and bobs. The man most likely to give those 2 a run for their money all day yesterday was Akshay Bhatia. Just so much fun to watch, Radar. He just takes everything on. I mean, he looks about 7 stone dripping wet, but he hits it a mile.
Yeah, he does. I first saw him a few years ago. Next week's tournament's the Valspar down in Tampa, and it's just a magnificent golf course. One of the hilliest golf courses you'll find on the PGA Tour. You'll watch it this week on Sky Sports Golf. It's incredible. It's got a thing called the Snake Pit, which is about the last 4 holes, and it's quite incredible. And I saw him there as a 16-year-old. when I used to go there and work. And yeah, so I've seen him for a long time. He's always been going to be a good player. Already a couple of times winner on the PGA Tour. Look out for him. He isn't going away. Major champion in the making.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. 23 years of age. I mean, he's great to watch. And another great story, Radar, on the leaderboard yesterday was Danny Walker. I mean, this was special. At what, 7 o'clock on Thursday morning, he wasn't in the field, and all of a sudden, a top 6 finish, which could do so much for his career.
Absolutely. You know, you need about $1.5 million to keep your card. Next year, it's only top 100, usually 120, 125, only a top 100 at the end of this year, 2025 to keep your card. And he must have got very close to winning $1 million this week. So now he'll start to get some invites. He'll be in next week. He'll start to get some good tournaments. And, you know, he's taken, look, it's always very nice to lock up your card, even though we've got a long way to go in this season, but lock up next year's card so early in the season. And he's just about that. He's just about done that in one of the biggest, you know, they call it the 5th major. I don't like the 5th majors. There's no such thing as a 5th major. I like the 4 we've got. And then we have the Players. And that's a beautiful place for this to sit, because this Players Championship is awesome. But for him to do that this week, full credit. Full credit. Like, you didn't even know you were playing, and then all of a sudden you show up and you walk home with $1 million as a youngster.
You don't even know you're playing. Then Jason Day
Pretty
withdraws, and suddenly you're playing alongside 2 major champions. In
Well,
Jordan
you'd
Spieth and
be
Wyndham
dropping a
Clark.
nice crate of wine around a Jason Day's house, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would indeed. And he outshone, obviously, both Wyndham Clark and Jordan Spieth. Let's do our traditional Ryder Cup watch. Looking back at the last week, another good week for Bob McIntyre. He finished 9th. Aaron Rai, Tommy Fleetwood, Sepp Straka, all continuing their consistently good form. They were all in a tie for 14th. Shane Lowry with a strong final round to finish in the top 20. On the flip side, though, yet another missed cut for Victor Hovland. And after an opening round 78, the damage was already done for Matt Fitzpatrick. A missed cut for him too. And then the news over the weekend, Radar, that he and Billy Foster are no longer, which is very sad.
Yeah, that's very sad. That was a match made in heaven. So many wins. I know they won up in the mountain there. They won the Heritage. They also won the they won the US Open. I mean, an incredible time together. I think it was 6 years together. You will never know what happened there. You know, caddy and player, they keep it to themselves. Whether there was a falling out, I don't know. Maybe it could be amicable. Maybe it's just like it's time. You know, when you go into the locker room each morning to meet your caddy, sometimes you just get sick of the look of each other. It just happens like that. Doesn't mean you don't love each other as brothers, but it happens. And who knows, down the road, a couple of years' time, don't be surprised if you see them there back together once more. You know, but it's a wonderful caddy. One of the legends of caddying in the world of golf is Billy Foster, and a major champion in Matt Fitzpatrick. It's sad, but you know, life goes on.
That's
Life goes on. There'll be another caddy. There'll be another caddy lining up, knocking on his door right now to Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Yeah, 10% of his earnings aren't too bad. The way to make the living.
Yeah,
this is what Billy posted on Instagram. Well, after 6 great years, all good things come to an end. This game never stops to frustrate you and infuriate you. Unfortunately, times change, and ultimately, it's the caddy or the coach that has to accept results are not good enough. And when you stop enjoying what you're doing, it's time for a change. But he is, Radar, one of the game's good guys, Billy Foster, and we hope we see Billy plenty more.
I will see Billy. Yeah, we'll see Billy. Don't worry about it. You can't get rid of him that fast. You can't get rid of him.
Just one final thing on the subject of the Ryder Cup from a US point of view, Radar. A hole-in-one from Keegan Bradley yesterday en route to another top 20 finish. This time last week, we had Brad Faxon on the pod. We were both agreeing that he is unquestionably one of the best 12 American golfers right now. So have Ryder Cup USA made a bit of a rod for their own back here?
I don't know. I think it'd be fantastic. I know Tiger Woods played as a playing captain at Royal Melbourne for the President's Cup not that long ago, and I know that would Keegan Bradley play in the Ryder Cup as a captain? I don't know, because pretty soon they'd have to do something about it. Like, because what are we, 6 months away from it? I mean, you know, they'd have to do something soon. But I imagine they don't want to go to him and go, yes, blah, blah, blah. And then he doesn't make it. And then he's lost the captaincy. It's a trickier. Have they made a rod for their own back? I don't know. I think it's been a really good pick for a Ryder Cup captain. It surprised a lot of people, Keegan Bradley. And he's proved to be the right guy. He's good enough to play on the team. So if he's good enough to play on the team, he's good enough to talk to the guys on the team. So it's I don't know what's going to happen there. He's got a lot of sergeant majors who are behind him, vice captains. So I don't know. I'd imagine if he makes the team, he'll be a playing captain.
Do you think so?
That's
Do
the
you think
way
that's
I
still
think. What
possible in
can I ask
2024?
you? I know you're the host. What do you think about what I've just said?
Well, my honest opinion is I think Keegan Bradley will play on the US Ryder Cup team, and I think Webb Simpson will be the captain this time around because I don't
Okay.
think it's possible in 2025 to be a playing captain. I know Arnold Palmer did it many moons ago, but I think there is so much that goes into being a captain now. All those little touches that Luke Donald did 2 years ago in Rome as well. I don't
Yeah.
think you can be doing all that and also be trying to play your very best golf. So I think maybe
Why Webb Simpson?
he just seems the most likely from his vice captains for me. He just seems the next cab off the rank from those vice captains. But look, we wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it'll be thrown around all sorts of golf words from now on.
Yeah.
Every time you see Keegan Bradley on the board, and we're going to see Keegan Bradley on the board. He's playing so very, very well.
He is indeed. He is indeed. Look, we're going to take a break there. When we come back, I'll be chatting to Tommy Fleetwood ahead of his TGL semi-final this evening. Again, by the time you're listening to this, that may have been and gone. And we'll be wrapping up the other little bits and bobs from around the world of golf over the last week. Welcome back to the Sky Sports Golf Podcast presented by Callaway. Radar's popped off for a quick coffee, but before he comes back, I'm delighted to say Tommy Fleetwood joins me again. A whole 2 weeks since we last had him on the pod. Friend of the show, Tommy. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Not a great substitute for Radar, but it'll do for now.
Oh, you're a far better substitute for Radar, believe me. A good chance that by the time you listen to this, folks, you'll already know the result of Tommy's TGL semi-final is LA Golf Club taking on New York tonight. But Tommy, excited, I'm sure, about this evening. How much have you enjoyed it? It's been pretty clear from your expressions that you've had great fun with TGL this year.
Yeah, and I think for all of us, I think we've all enjoyed it. Look, it's unknown. Nobody's ever done anything like this before, and you don't know what to expect. I think it's always been quite exciting, something that's so unique. But I think we've all enjoyed it more than we could have imagined that we would have. If you like, I've been so lucky that I've been part of a great team. Colin, Sahith, Justin. We all get on so great, and we've all enjoyed this process so far so much, and playing on the Monday and Tuesday nights. So yeah, it's been great, and I just don't want it to end early. So we've got a job to do tonight, and want to make it to the finals.
And you mentioned your team. I mean, the chemistry is quite clear to see between you guys. You obviously know Justin really well. I imagine you know Colin pretty well. You've played with him 3 of the last 4 days, I think, at Sawgrass. But somebody like Sahith, I imagine you maybe didn't know him that well before this, and getting to know him has probably been one of the most enjoyable aspects of it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what, playing in a team does. You become closer to the guys, you get to know the guys that bit better. And you're always the most supporting influence you can be to your teammates. And it's been honestly great. And yeah, of course, I've been lucky that I've played on a few teams with Justin, and I would consider Justin one of my closest people out here on tour. And I've always got on with Colin great, spent a lot of time with Colin during playing or being part of TaylorMade, things like that. And Sahith, I've spent plenty of time with as well, and played practice rounds, but it's been great being part of that team and getting to know each other that bit more. And that kind of stuff stays with you. Whatever happens tonight or the rest of this TGL season, I'm pretty sure, or I'm hoping we'll get another crack at this again, next time around. So we're together for quite a bit longer yet, and hopefully for some time in the future as well. So it's been very enjoyable.
Last time out against the Bay, we even saw the deep squat, which famously made its debut in Paris in 2018
Not quite as
the
deep.
Ryder Cup. But look, what is so obvious is just how much crack you have together. It's just great fun. But that said, also you're a professional sportsman and you desperately want to win as well.
Yeah, it's definitely been very competitive. I have, again, you go back to that enjoyment factor. I've loved the preparation that we've put into this as a team. It's of course it's something new, it's something fun, it's something that appeals to hopefully a wider audience for golf. But at the same time, we've prepared so hard and so well, and that's all you can do. You can hit the right shots on the night, or you might not. You might hit or miss, whatever it is. But we've all given it 100%, and I love that about us as a team. And yeah, we've loved competing out there, and you still get those bit of nerves when it's coming down, like I'll call it the stretch, coming down the stretch of a TGL match and trying to win. And tonight again, this is a different environment, different feeling for us that we as golfers have never don't really experience things like knockout stages of a tournament. So looking forward to that challenge as well.
Just to look back on the last week, another really good week for you. This incredibly consistent run continues. I know you'll probably have been disappointed with the scoring over the weekend. How tough was Sawgrass these last few days, Saturday in particular?
Yeah, very. I think we knew the weather that was coming, and I remember being asked on Friday if it's as scoreable as we've ever seen Sawgrass, and I still don't think it was. I still think it was pretty. I think that's the great thing about the golf course, is that if you play well, if you put the ball in play, if you can control your golf ball, you do have a chance to score around Sawgrass. It gives you that opportunity, but at the same time, slightly out, start missing fairways, hit some poor shots, some wayward shots, add in some conditions to that as well. And the wind on Saturday and Sunday made it very, very tough. Completely different challenge. And yeah, like you say, I felt like on Saturday especially, in those conditions and in the wind, I played some great golf. I played good enough golf to be up there competing going into Sunday, and I couldn't quite do that. Didn't make the most of my opportunities, and then get on a little iffy run. And obviously, you come to the 17th where anything can happen, and all of a sudden, you find yourself sort of back down the pack, and that was disappointing really on Saturday. And Sunday, I felt like I put a solid round together. Didn't get off to the start I wanted to, but put in a solid round. And again, look, you can't really be complaining too much about finishing where I'm finishing. I'm on like you say, I'm on a very consistent run, and I'm really happy with the consistency that I'm showing at the moment. I just have to find that little bit more out of my game and my scoring to find myself in contention at the right times. But hopefully I can continue to play the way I am and just play the waiting game and keep pushing, and we'll find ourselves up there when that time comes.
I think I'm right in saying that yesterday you managed to get out of there just before the hooter went. I think you maybe hold out a good sort of...
I rolled in a 35 footer on 18, and then as we were signing the scorecard, the horn went off. So it was amazing timing. Me and Colin actually had a flight booked to come here, but we had to wait for the storm to finish. So we still got out of there a bit late, but it was nice to look. We didn't have to wait around. It was nice being sat there after a good finish as well, like birdie in the last. Yeah. It wasn't like I made a hash of the last hole and then you sit and dwell on it when you could do something more. But yeah, to finish nice and then to get in and not have to do that 4-hour wait was really nice.
Take us into the mindset of a player in that situation. Like, how frustrating is it when you're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs for 4 hours, probably thinking about that next shot for 4 hours?
Well, yeah, it's it's hard to pass the time. It's not that much to do. You're obviously waiting for the next announcement. You get told that there's an announcement every half hour, if you like. So you're waiting for the next 30 minutes to come to see what the announcement is. And yeah, you've got to go out and play. You've got to get ready again, back ready for going out again, which is like maybe not after 4 hours. Maybe it is a full warm up at that point. So, you've got to go through a full warm up to get ready again. and then go finish off a round, which is always, conditions are always like eerily a little bit different as well after a storm. So it's a lot calmer, it's a lot quieter. So it's different, but at the same time, I would have loved to have been up there in contention and having to do the 4-hour wait rather than teeing off early and getting done. But it's tough, and I think you can, you probably watch some of the guys that are great in those situations and try and learn off them.
You spoke a little bit earlier about how being part of a team means you forge these friendships that last for so long. And obviously, you've been on teams now with Rory. You know Rory pretty well. He was saying after finishing up today, this morning was the most nervous he's ever felt. And, we're so used to Tiger for years showing this sort of steeliness and never really giving away his emotions. When somebody like Rory is that vulnerable and says, I've never been more nervous than I was this morning, that kind of shows you just how much it still means, even this long into a glittered career.
Yeah, of course. And I think Rory is an unbelievable talent, a generational talent. I've always said and thought, and I continue to do so, that I feel like Rory is the best of our generation. And, he's putting together a phenomenal career, and he's so far from being done. He's got a long way to go in his career yet, and he has an unbelievable opportunity to put one of the most memorable careers down in history, I guess. And I think we all feel pretty confident that he is going to continue to do that. I think it's great to have players like him, Scotty, Xander, those great players that are the top players in our sport at the time, and we have those guys to look up to and try and aspire to, and do everything we can to try and compete with those guys on a weekly basis. And I think we're lucky to have them.
And obviously, the holy grail for Rory is a few weeks' time in Augusta, and you're desperate to win that green jacket as well, I know. But do you sense in Rory many more of a sort of bit between his teeth this time round? This is the first time he's ever won twice before the Masters.
It's hard to say. I think only Rory could answer that question. But for sure, he's been showing some great form. I think, look, for years now, he's been unbelievably consistent. And I think the toughest part for Rory McIlroy is not only his own expectations, but everybody else's expectations on him as well. And, when the Masters comes around, he'll have to answer all those questions that he'll already be, he'll have asked himself a million times. Of course he will have. And of course he wants to win the Masters like we all do. It's just that he is in a position where he can put himself in a very special spot in history. Rory, everybody knows that he has the ability to win the Masters. And I think the majority of people feel like it will happen at some point. And like I said, the hardest thing for him will always be, like every other sportsman, is your own expectations, along with Rory has to, deal with everybody else's as well at the same time. But for sure, his game is probably, I'm sure it feels, in as good a place as it can be. And yeah, he's won twice now this calendar year. He also won his last event of 2024. So he's won, 3 events in a very short period of time. And, he's going to go in there with a great chance.
I don't want to keep you much longer, Tommy, because you were so generous with your time a fortnight ago, but just a couple more. Firstly, after tonight, looking ahead to the rest of this week, it's yet another tournament for you, the Valspar, the Snake Pit and all that. It's a tournament where you've contended in the past. And as you already said, the game is in a pretty good place. So how does this course set up for your eye this week?
Yeah, I love this golf course. I think it. There's a lot about the golf course that is how I see the game being played. I feel like you have to control your ball really well. I don't think you can dominate this golf course with length. I think you have to position your golf ball, try and keep it in play. If you're out of position, you have to be patient and find a way of giving yourself the best chance of making par without forcing anything. So yeah, I think there's a lot of demanding golf shots around there. So I've enjoyed this course a couple of times I've played. I had a good chance of winning 2 or 3 years ago. And couldn't quite get it done. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm in this is sort of the middle of a busy period for me. This will be my third week playing. I'll hopefully get to play TGL next Monday and Tuesday before going back to England for a few days and then coming back out for San Antonio, the Valero Masters and Hilton Head. So there's a lot of golf being played at the moment, but I'm enjoying being back in like the rhythm of playing. I think you go through a little stretch there in November, December, where and even January for me, I get to play a couple of events in Dubai before traveling out and starting on the PGA Tour. So it's nice to be in a run of events. You pick things up every tournament you play, and you keep trying to, enhance your game, in the ways that you feel you need to, bouncing off the week before. And nothing compares to like playing competitive golf. Like no matter how much practice you do, there's a competitive sharpness that you need. And I'm enjoying playing and looking forward to this week as well.
Just finally, Tommy, let it never be said I don't ask the hard-hitting questions. I can't be the only person that turned on my TV on Thursday and was surprised to see a freshly shaved Tommy Fleetwood. Is the beard going to make its way back? Was there a reason behind the shaving?
Yeah, I bought a new razor and misjudged the number that I had to, and once you've gone one trim, like there's no going back. So it turned out to be quite short. And yeah, all of a sudden you could see my full face. Which
is lovely. It's a lovely face.
Well, there was compliments and there was some sort of negative comments as well about the fact that my face is showing now. It shows how ugly I am. So maybe I'll cover it back up, and I can always hide that.
Tommy, you're still gorgeous. You're aging like a fine wine. Don't worry. We'll see you back fully bushy beard at Augusta in a few weeks' time. Thank you as always for your time. Best of luck tonight. Best of luck at the Valspar.
Thank you.
And I'll see you at Augusta, pal. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Thank you.
Always great to chat to Tommy. Time to just wrap up some of the other news from the last week, Radar, a lot of which came in the build-up to the Players. We start with Colin Morikawa. Now, after his disappointment at Bay Hill, when he must have just felt like he'd been punched in the gut, Russell Henley snatching that tournament from his grasp, he chose not to speak to the media. Personally, I don't have an issue with that. But he did receive a bit of criticism from some quarters. Then at the start of last week, he doubled down, said in his press conference he doesn't owe anybody anything. Again, fair enough. But Radar, he then elongated the whole saga, kind of unprompted after his round on Friday. He said this at the end of a post-round interview.
I just want to add one more thing. Might bite my tongue after saying this, but to the Brandel Chamblees, to the Paul McGinleys, to the Rocco Media, to the world, I don't regret anything I said. It might have been a little bit harsh that I don't owe anyone, but I don't owe anyone. I respect the fans. I'm very thankful for them. I'm grateful. It makes me emotional, but it hurts to hear people say this, and especially you guys, because I finished the round and I went to go sign for 10 minutes, 15 minutes for all the people after. Not a single person from media went to go follow me because I don't know, but that's me. For people to be calling me out is it's interesting. It doesn't show anything. I mean, look, I get what you guys are saying, but I was there. I was signing for every single person right after the round, whether they wanted it or not. I finished second. They could care less. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so thank you guys.
Radar, it seems to me almost as if Colin himself has made a bit of a mountain out of a molehill of this.
Yeah, he's done a lot of it. Look, his wording was wrong. The way he says, I don't owe you anything. We all owe the game of golf quite a lot. Without the game of golf, I don't know what I'd be doing. I would be in jail. But at the end of the day, I mean, he owes the game of golf. It was only the wording. He didn't mean anything by it. He was upset when he didn't win there at Bay Hill and got steamrolled by Russell Henley. But the wording was just wrong. He was going into the championship quite confident and wanted a great week. Didn't really have a great week here, and mountain at a mile, as you rightly put. Yeah, it'll all go away, and I don't think we'll get too many rumbles out of Morikawa in the future. To be perfectly honest, I think he's probably learnt his lesson here.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a nerve touch there for Colin Morikawa. The happiest I saw him all week, I have to say, was his caddy JJ Spaun becoming the first caddy to make a
Yeah,
hole-in-one at the traditional
yeah,
Wednesday caddy competition on the
that's
17th.
brilliant.
They were great scenes. That was fantastic, wasn't it,
Yeah,
Radar?
yeah, absolutely fantastic. That was a brilliant thing. That's a great addition to any championship. I don't think you could go have it in the majors, but the Players' Championship on a hole like that, 17, to get the caddies in there to have a go, was very, very cool. And
Yeah.
to get guys holing it was look, we'll be watching that for just about ever.
And it's funny,
It's just
some caddies have no intention of having a go at all. Every year I see Harry Diamond on that Wednesday morning. I go, "You having a go this year, Harry?" Who's a very good golfer, by the way.
yeah,
Absolutely not. He says, "No chance. We're going to only go and play the front nine this morning. I'm not having a go at that." Some of them just don't fancy it at all.
yeah. I get that, but no, I think you'd have to have a go. Come on, oh, okay. I didn't know that with Harry. I didn't know Harry doesn't
Yeah.
have a go. We might have to work on that, Jamie.
Well, and you know what? One year as well, I was standing on the 17th tee, and Billy and Matt, funnily enough, the aforementioned Billy and Matt, came wandering over. And I said, "You having a go, Billy?" He says, "Absolutely not, no chance." He goes, "You can have my go, Jamie." And he handed me a 9-iron, and there was absolutely no chance I was going to have a go with that crowd there. My excuse was I just put on sun cream, my hands were greasy, but there was no
Oh,
way I was
yeah,
doing
okay,
that.
right.
'Cause I think Matt Fitzpatrick's 9-iron might have ended up in the middle of the water as well. Another incident earlier in the week, Radar, Rory in a practice round hitting a tee shot into the water on the 18th. A heckler then made some reference to the 2011 Masters. Rory calmly walks over to him, takes his phone away, walks away. He was evicted from the course. Now, this heckler turns out to be a University of Texas golfer called Luke Potter, who, to be fair, has held his hands up and apologized. But Radar, Rory inevitably got some stick for supposedly overreacting. I'm not sure how many people necessarily understand just how much audible abuse a lot of these players get a lot of the time, and you need to have a very thick skin. Sometimes it's going to get to you.
A guy yesterday on the 17th green said the exact same thing and was evicted.
Yeah.
Like that. I was standing there, and Rory or Harry Diamond had nothing to do with that. It was like you got to watch yourself. If you come to the golf and you can scream out, and that you can be fans of the golfers, and rightly so, and cheer. You're the man, light the candle, whatever you want to do. But don't be personal to the players, because they will evict you very swiftly from these places. And it happened so fast yesterday on that 17th green. When someone said something to Rory McIlroy, similar to what the other boy got in trouble for. But why did he say it? If he's a good young golfer, I mean,
Mm.
they say it sticks. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't be doing that. And I'm sure he's
I don't know what
sorry
you're
about
hoping
it.
to achieve by doing that. Do you know what I mean?
We
What are you
we
hoping to
all
get a little bit of a
accepted
picture from the
apology and
gallery?
stuff like that, but you shouldn't be doing these guys are superstars, and
Yeah.
you're not going to win. So
Yeah.
it's not worth it. It just isn't worth it. Enjoy their golf.
Yeah.
Enjoy the way they play golf, and don't be silly towards them.
Elsewhere in the world of golf, Joaquin Niemann won Live Singapore.
Yeah.
You may well have missed this, Radar, but it prompted Phil Mickelson to take to social media and declare that Joaquin Niemann is the world's best golfer, that he's a better player than Scotty Scheffler, and that Scotty Scheffler won't win this season. Radar, is this just Phil Mickelson being mischievous?
Yeah, I read that. I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was one of those ones that I don't know who's writing it, but so it's real. I mean, Neiman's not the best golfer in the world for starters. I'd say he's a top 20 player in the world, thus being invited to the Masters. I think he's a fantastic golfer. He isn't the best golfer in the world. He's in the top 10 best player in the world. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander. Do you want me to keep on going? Are better
No, it's all
golfers
good.
than Niemann.
It's all
You
good,
know?
but it just this Phil Mickelson. It's just like he tries to
Oh,
keep
what's he
finding ways
doing?
to stay relevant. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, well, Scotty Scheffler, when he wins, how's Phil Mickelson looking? He's made some beauties, but then again, that's what you get when you want to be the smartest person in the room, I suppose.
Yeah, well, quite well said. On the Ladies European Tour, Manon de Roy made a clutch birdie in the final hole to win the Australian Women's Classic at Coffs Harbour. Earlier in the week, though, Radar, I'd seen this on the LET's Instagram. Marianne Skarpnord carries 2 putters in her bag, a right-handed putter for long putts and a left-handed putter for short putts, which obviously means she can only carry 12 other clubs. Have you ever heard anything like that at all, Radar?
Yeah, I've heard people with putters who've had left-handed, right-handed, and all that sort of thing. But I'm talking old mates from many, many moons ago who absolutely try anything. But as you were saying that to me, Jamie, I'm thinking I'm playing on Wednesday. I'm playing at Wednesday on Wednesday at West Hill, and the putting hasn't been going very well, so I might go out there with a couple myself.
Is that right? You're West Hill on Wednesday. I'm Worplesdon on Thursday, so we're playing two
Oh,
of the
just
W's
as
between
good.
us this
The
week.
three
Yeah.
W's: Woking, Warpeston, West Hill.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, let's see. This week in the world of golf, we've got the Valspar Championship on the PGA Tour. As Radar was saying, the Snake Pit. Peter Malnati defending the title. He won so emotionally last year. Decent field as well. Xander Schauffele, Tom Kim, Justin Thomas, Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry, all in the field. The DP World Tour begins its Asian swing for the Porsche Singapore Classic. Bob McIntyre making the long journey from Ponte Vedra Beach after his top 10 finish at the Players. But that about does it for today. Radar, just before we let you go to catch that flight, let's just sum up what a week it's been for you. A long week, a tiring week. A Monday finish isn't what anybody wants, but a fitting champion.
Oh, absolutely. A fantastic week, Jamie. It's a big one for Sky Sports Golf, and it's a big one around the world. You just come here, and I've said it in the broadcast this week. If you don't get a chance to go to the Masters, it's very expensive to get a ticket. If you can get a ticket, this is the best place to come. It really is. It's almost like our BMW PGA at Wentworth. It's got the same vibe. It's just a party atmosphere and a wonderful championship with great, great golfers. Hey, listen, just a little one. Next week, Valspar. Tommy Fleetwood could get his first win on the PGA Tour. It's a golf course that really suits him.
It's not a bad shot.
Innisbrook.
It's not a bad shot. Yeah, it's not a bad shot. And you're right with what you said. You said it earlier that they like to call it the fifth major. I don't like that either, but it does feel like a major
Oh, yeah.
championship. The Players, doesn't it? I mean, it seems to get bigger and bigger every year. The whole infrastructure, it is wonderful there. So if you do get a chance, do get to Sawgrass.
Oh, definitely come. I definitely come. It's well worth a visit, this championship. Like every day, not just a couple of days. Come to Jacksonville for the week. Enjoy it. It's the Players. It's big.
And just finally, Radar, are you feeling a little bit more positive about Rory's chances of slipping into a green jacket in a few weeks' time?
I'm not going to talk about it anymore because every time I talk about it, he doesn't do it. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I am saying nothing.
I'm going to make the same pact as you, Radar. I don't want to talk about either. If you've liked what you've heard or watched today, make sure you give us a follow on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your pods. While there, why don't you leave us a review? Let us know what you think of the show. Thank you again to Callaway for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you again for your time, and do join us again this time next week.